Hey team, hope you're all doing well. So today's topic is the question, how hard is it to run a 3:30 marathon? In order to do that, the athlete has to maintain 8 minutes per mile for 26.2 miles or 4:58 per kilometer for 42.2 kilometers. And it's not easy. I mean, the marathon distance, whether you're training to break 5 hours or you're trying to break 2 hours and 30 minutes or 3 hours, or in this case, breaking 3 hours and 30 minutes, it takes an enormous amount of time and energy in order to perform at a superior level and to set a new personal best. A lot of you athletes out there, you already have you may have already ran a marathon and you already have a personal best right now. Or it's very hard to duplicate when you get in that flow state and when everything goes perfectly. You've tapered down correctly. You've spent the past, preferably, hopefully around 16 weeks, but preferably around 20 to 24 weeks training for your marathon. And you have to do so many different things correctly, and you have to be so patient during that buildup in order to run a fast marathon time. As I talk about in other videos, it's real important to pay attention to all of the fundamentals. It's not just about doing faster long runs. It's not just about doing repeat miles on the track or doing double threshold training workouts. When you're doing a faster, you may be doing a speed workout in the morning and then coming back and doing a tempo run or maybe a fartlek workout in the afternoon. A lot of athletes out there are doing a mixture of different types of training methods. And in order to get it right in the marathon, you really have to be strategic in your setup. It takes the body about 3 to 4 weeks to adapt to any stress or being placed on it. Okay, so how hard is it to run a 3:30 marathon? It is not going to be easy. That is breaking 3 hours and 30 minutes, in my opinion, is getting close to that elite level, especially getting under 3 hours. So few runners even run this fast of a time. And so you have to get start training closer down towards 7 minute mile pace, okay, or getting close down toward 4 minute kilometer pace as you're training for your marathon. Again, we want to get that goal race pace, that goal 3:30 marathon race pace to feel easier, more manageable, and you want to slow down less than your competition, okay? It's also extremely hard to run under a 3:30 marathon if you don't pace yourself properly, okay? So do not go out too fast in your future marathon. If this is your goal to break 3 hours and 30 minutes for the marathon, don't go out that first half marathon in an hour and 30 minutes, okay? Yes, if you go out at an hour and 30 minutes, you're at 3 hour marathon pace, okay? So yes, you've left yourself an enormous amount of time, a nice big cushion to run that second half much slower and still possibly break 3 hours and 30 minutes. But it's much wiser to run a negative split, okay? So going out around 145 to 155 through the first half and then coming back the second half at a faster clip is a much more strategic and basically a smarter way in terms of running the marathon. It's very hard to run a positive split. But yes, there are athletes out there that do run fast marathon times, even going out faster the first half, and they come back slower the second half. When I ran 2:19:35 for the marathon, I went out in 1:07:09 through the first half, and then I came back with a 1:12:26. So I went out way too aggressive, but sometimes if you've prepared properly in training and you have that, you've built up an enormous base of mileage, you've really trained well below your goal 3:30 marathon goal pace, and you go out a little more aggressive than you should, and you've prepared well and you've tapered down correctly, you can still run a new personal best and still break 3 hours and 30 minutes running a positive split, as long as, again, you hydrate well in the race, you really have prepared well prior to that race. But still, between the two, it's a better option to run a negative split. Be a little bit more conservative in the first half and then really focus on running as hard as you possibly can in that last 10 kilometers of the race. Okay, there's two parts of the marathon, okay, and you've heard it probably from other athletes. It's that first 20 miles and the last 10 kilometers of the race. So if you can get through that first 32 kilometers and still feel strong, you're in good shape, okay? You do not want to feel like you're fatigued the first 5 miles or the first 8 kilometers in the race. So really attacking when most of your competition is the most tired and the most mentally fatigued is where you want to really put all of your emphasis at. Okay, so if you go out a little bit more conservative, you're going to have that energy to really pour it on in that last 10 kilometers of the race. Okay, and what we want to do in training is we want to teach the body to clear lactic acid faster than it's building up. And we also want to, if you're training for the marathon, you want to make sure that you're training the body to utilize what it has much more of, and that is fat storage. Okay, at any given time we only have about 1,800 calories of carbohydrate built up in the body. So most oftentimes athletes are hitting that so-called wall right around mile 17 or mile 18. We burn around 100 calories. If the more you weigh, the more calories you'll burn. And obviously, the faster you're running, you're burning more calories versus if you're running slower. But right around 100 to 150 calories per mile is what we burn. So naturally, we most oftentimes hit the wall right around mile 17 or 18, but you don't have to hit a wall in a marathon. Okay, again, if you've paid attention to all the fundamentals, if you've trained, you've started doing varied pace long runs, if you haven't done that and you want to break 3 hours and 30 minutes, you start doing that now. Okay, varied pace, you're running at mixture, you're running at very hard anaerobic efforts. Right at tempo pace, you're running a small portion of the long run at VO2 max pace, around 95 to 100% of your max heart rate. You're running some, like I said before, running a portion of those miles or kilometers during your long run at your anaerobic threshold, which is around 85 to 89% of your max heart rate. You're running at sprint paces, which again is VO2 max, and then you're doing a mixture of easy, relaxed running within that long run. Okay, it's a varied pace long runs, and you can also mix it up. Okay, some weekends during my own build-ups, I would do varied pace long runs. I would do steady state long runs where it was just a steady, maybe 6 minute mile pace for 10 to 15 miles, 2 mile warm up, two or 3 mile cool down, be just a steady effort. And then other long runs, obviously my recovery long runs were run very, very easy. Okay, anywhere from 8 to 9 minute mile pace. For me being an athlete that could sustain 5:19 mile pace for 26 miles, 8 to 9 minute mile pace is very, very relaxed. So take your goal race pace and take about 2 minutes off of that goal race pace. And that's really right around where you need to be running during those easy, relaxed long runs. Okay, the benefits of your hard training are going to come in the rest cycle. Okay, Google the word super compensation. I'll leave it here on the screen as well. That is a term most of your competition do not know anything about. Okay, the real benefits are going to come after that hard track workout, after that hard road session that you're doing, after the tempo runs. It's going to happen when you're resting. So if you're giving yourself sufficient time to recover between these hard workouts you're doing, you're going to start seeing significant time dropped off of your current personal best. Okay, I'm a big believer in a 10-day taper. If you want to break a 3 hour, 30-minute marathon, and this question of how hard is it to run a 3:30 marathon, it is going to be difficult. This is not a slow marathon time. It's a highly competitive time and one that you definitely can achieve as long as you're setting up your training strategically and properly. You're not trying to run too fast, too soon during your build-up. You're paying attention first to easy, relaxed aerobic training, then going into specific training where you're running at or close to 8-minute mile pace or 4:58 mile pace. Then you're going into your speed development phase where you're training closer down toward sub 7-minute mile pace or right around 7:20 mile pace, right in that range. Extremely fast paces, the paces that you wouldn't be really able to hold for maybe 3 to 5 miles, around that range. But you want to spend some time training at those types of intense VO2 max efforts so that, again, we get that goal 3:30 marathon pace to feel easier and for you to be able to sustain that and teach the body to clear lactic acid faster than it's building up. That's why the best runners make it look so easy. Okay, they've spent sufficient time training at a higher intensity, at a higher heart rate for a longer period of time and for a higher percentage of their weekly volume. Okay, those athletes, the middle to long distance runners, they're training around 40% of their weekly mileage, running at least 85% of their max heart rate. So if you're running 90 to 95% of your mileage at around 65% of your max heart rate, and you're running very aerobically, you're building an enormous amount of endurance. But again, you're not going to be able to, you're going to have a much harder time running under 3 hours and 30 minutes for the marathon if you're training too aerobically too often. So I hope this is helpful for you. And definitely, if you have additional comments, leave them in the comment section. Let me know and let the community know, those other athletes out there that are watching these videos, what you think too. And definitely, whether you're a total beginner, don't feel like you don't have anything to say here. You definitely have. Most beginners have more knowledge and more expertise than even those athletes that are very veteran, very experienced. Okay, they have something to add to us as well, and we can learn a lot from them as well. So I wish you all the best. Hope this is helpful to you, and like and share this video. I definitely appreciate that. The support helps channel grow, and more athletes around the world see these videos, and non-athletes. And I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you in the next video.